everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We're so excited today to be here to give you another interview with a Hallmark actor. We are talking to Madison Smith, who's going to be in the upcoming Falling for You. And I'm Rachel. Amber's here.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, and Madison, thanks so much for joining us. This is so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I was really excited when I heard you guys wanted to have me on, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, and tell us what inspired you to become an actor.
Well, my name is Madison Smith. I was an athlete sort of growing up my whole life. I wanted to be an NHL hockey player and a MLB baseball player all at the same time, which didn't exist in history, and still I didn't succeed at that, so it didn't exist with me either. So my whole life I remember wanting to play sports, and even though I had this feeling that I wanted to do something to do with acting, I remember I grew up in a small town, and I was like, oh, what if I did a play? Oh, but what if my hockey team buddies came to watch? And now I was really embarrassed about that. Now I'm like, this is so cool. I don't know why I didn't do this when I was 12. Would have been way better. So yeah, I was playing college baseball in Kelowna, BC, and after a year of that, I was just established that I was on sort of the wrong path and tried to figure out what I was going to do. My mom actually was one who suggested. She's like, "Hey, why don't you give acting a try?" And I was like, I got that little pitter patter in my chest, and I was like, okay. Within about 6 months, I had moved to Vancouver. I joined a new acting school called Vancouver Academy of Dramatic Arts. It's a 6-month program here in Vancouver, and less than a year after I finished that, I booked my first Lifetime movie and sort of went from there.
Cool. So you're like a real life Troy Bolton from High School Musical, but with hockey.
Honestly, Get Your Head in the Game was like, I remember thinking, or no, it wasn't Get Your Head in the, it was Go with the Status Quo. I remember always being like, that's like a very like hits home song for me. I don't know what it
is. They forced you to stick to the status quo.
They did. Oh man. Now I'm very happy, and I get to be like, now it seems like such a cool thing. I mean, I remember being the hockey player, going down the hallways wearing my rep hockey jacket, and now I'm like, I like dressing in cool clothes and being like, hey, I'm going to this cool audition for the new great show that you guys are all going to watch, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Very good. Oh, that's really cool. So you started your first project, did you say was for Lifetime?
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, my first project didn't come through an agency. It came through an ex-girlfriend of mine in Kelowna. Heard a thing on the radio saying they were looking for actors who looked similar to Grant Gustin, who's the young man who plays the Flash. They were looking for actors who looked similar to him, local in Kelowna. She emailed me, and she's like, hey, I don't know if this is something that you can do in Vancouver, but they're looking for people like this. I was, around the same age and had the same hair color, so I submitted. I got an email back pretty much immediately, and they said, hey, Madison, thank you so much for submitting. We actually have just filled the position. It's too bad you look a lot like Grant. It would have worked really well. I was like, okay, thanks. No big deal. About, I'd say 45 minutes later, I get another email, and they say, hey, Madison, actually, you look too much like Grant. We need you to put this scene on tape. Can you send it to us as soon as possible? I think I sent that to them in 2 hours. And I think within a day, I found out I booked my first role, which I got paid as a local in Kelowna. So I had to drive myself there and put myself up. I didn't even get to be in a trailer or have makeup or anything. It was pre-production where all of my scenes were filmed on like an iPhone, because it was supposed to be a flashback scene, or she was supposed to be watching a scene on her phone. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't an experience of being on set at all, and it was really quite strange. Even I remember the day I booked it, I actually got into a car accident that day. I was in the passenger seat, and we drove into a pole.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my first booking was all the makings of its own Lifetime movie. So, but right after that, I booked because I had, I'd sort of struck gold with a role. I got my next booking within a month. I think I played in a horror movie for TV called Chupacabra versus the Alamo, where my downstairs area gets eaten by a monster. So that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Exciting life of being an actor. You never know what's going to happen.
That's really funny. And you were on an episode of Psych?
I was on an episode of Psych. I was in the final episode of Psych, which was a dream come true because I was actually a huge fan of the show Psych. That was around before Netflix had sort of really started, and that was one of the first shows I ever really binge watched before like, binge watching now, which obviously exists. There was a girl at my acting school who worked the front desk, and she had booked a super small part with one line on Psych. None of us knew what Psych was, so we decided, hey, me and another girl in class, like, let's watch Psych, see what it's all about. Within, I'd say, 3 weeks, I was caught up, which obviously I wasn't doing a lot in acting school at the time because all I was really paying attention to was Psych. But so I get an email from my agent at the time. They say, hey, you have an audition for Psych. I go in and I thought it went really well. Casting director told me the next day callbacks were happening. And I go in and it's Steve Franks, the creator, he was the director of the final episode, and he's in the room. I do my audition for him, and I'm on my way out, and I say, hey, I don't know if you can answer a question, but it might be a question you can't answer. And he kind of got a little weird and awkward for a second. I was like, what question do you want to ask? And I go, are you guys going to get Emilio for the last episode? And he goes, that's a great question. I don't know. We're trying, but I don't know if it's going to happen. But honestly though, that was a great question. I was like, okay, thanks. I'll see you later. And I didn't hear anything for about 5 days. And then, I knew it was sort of a bigger part. And so within about a week, I find out I have another audition for Psych, which was strange because I never had 3 auditions for the same role. I found out after I booked it that the reason was Steve Franks actually wanted me for the role, but my resume wasn't big enough at the time for the role that I was booking. So they kind of went, we don't trust him. I'll tell you what, bring in these bigger names and then also bring Madison back in. And so I luckily got a chance to go in for him again. He worked really close with me in that audition. I even remember him sort of specifically directing specific moments just to give it everything it needed. And I found out I booked it, and it was honestly a dream come true because those 2 guys are some of my heroes. And obviously now Psych is airing on the Hallmark channel now, right?
Yeah, Movies and Mysteries. But
yeah. Movies and Mysteries, yeah. Because it was a show that didn't air in Canada, and I mean a lot of people. It had its niche group of people that watched it, but I love it. It's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Rachel got into it because she had to, because we cover Hallmark things. But my whole family watched it from day one. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, hey, that's that guy from Psych.
That's that guy from Psych. Yeah, it was awesome. And I got to meet Billy Zane. I remember introducing myself to him twice because I was so nervous. I didn't realize. So it was kind of funny. We were on set, and I had most of my scenes with Corbin in the classroom. And then I'm standing behind Corbin at one point when he's like firing a gun, and Sean and Gus drive through the scene. So they didn't really have to be there except for the very end of it. They have to walk out of the car and see what's going on. And they have a couple lines, which was insane to watch happen because their creativity is amazing. Like they got out, they said what was scripted, which was great and funny and hilarious. And then as soon as they were done, it was like Dule Hill, James Rode, and Steve Franks all are kind of like huddled up, and they go, so what do you think? Have we done a cop-out joke? Should we try a cop-out joke? Oh, cop-out joke could work. Okay, cool, let's do it. Without running anything, they just decide they're going to try something new, and they throw in a Bruce Willis cop-out joke for Corbin, and it was hilarious. And it happened within like 30 seconds. It was insane how amazing it was. So then they're doing another setup because they want to do a crane shot for us leaving. And we're all standing around the truck, and finally Steve Franks goes, oh, guys, by the way, this is Madison. He's a huge fan of the show. And I got like red in my face. I'm like, oh no. And I made a terrible joke. I was like, oh no, I hate the show. And then I think I blacked out for a second. I don't know if I fell or not, but I know I don't remember. And then it's like 2 minutes later and I go, oh no, I just realized I didn't introduce myself to Billy Zane. What a jerk I am. So I go over and I'm like, hey Billy, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Madison. He goes, I know you. We did that like a second ago over there. Oh no.
You're just like, I wanted it again. It's like,
I am so sorry. But you're great in Titanic, so goodbye. I'm gonna...
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, so your first role for Hallmark was in A Garage Sale Mystery, correct?
Yes, it was.
Yes. So the wedding dress. What was your role in that, and was that fun to be a part of?
It was actually quite awesome. That was my first time being on set with a celebrity that I really like knew so well. I mean, I think that was actually just before I'd done Psych actually, so I hadn't worked with Corbin at the point. So Lori was my first star that I actually got a chance to work with, because until that time, most of my roles had been in like the teasers and stuff like that. So it's when you work with, people that you see in class all the time, where I've been that person who like dies. So that's why the guys from Supernatural come to Vancouver or whatever it is. So I didn't really have these scenes with these actors who I recognized. And my first time was with Lori, and lo and behold, she's the nicest person I've ever met in my entire life. So that was kind of cool. I remember we were waiting between scenes at one point, and I was like, hey, so how was your weekend? She goes, oh, it was good. I just had dinner at my friend Gwyneth's house. And I was like, Gwyneth? As in like Paltrow? Oh, yeah. Our kids go to school together. Like, that's cool. I was serving food to people I don't know at Cactus Club Cafe in Vancouver. So our lives are the same.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, Wolfgang Puck, he catered it. And I was like, oh. That's really cool. It was really weird. So, but I got a chance to work with Lori, and that was fantastic. My first day on set was like an emotional scene with her in the cafe, and that was just fun to work with. She's an incredible person and an incredible talent. And then working with Eva was fantastic, so that was great. It was my first trip into Hallmark, so I got a chance to find out how much I really enjoyed being on set with such an amazing company.
Cool. So were you like a love interest for Eva?
Yeah, that's always the funny thing is Eva seems to have a new boy in every Garage Sale Mystery. I wonder if that's part of her contract, but I don't know what it is. Because even now, every time there's a new Garage Sale Mystery, they say, hey, Madison, you have an audition for Garage Sale Mystery. And I go, oh, is it for a boyfriend? They're like, yeah. Like, so I've done that. And they're like, oh, okay, hold on. And then they call me back in 2 minutes, like, okay, you don't have an audition tomorrow. Oh, no.
Yeah, they had in the recent month, they had a cop who made it to 2 episodes.
I've heard about this, yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty exciting. We were all pretty helpful. But not.
But
because I'd love to come back. Tyler was a cool.
Next one. Tyler comes back, and she's like, oh, I don't know. Cop guy or Tyler.
That's the thing. I really think that they should have like Tyler come back from China, and then it's like there's like a Chinese element to like her mystery, and that's why I'm back. And then it's like, but she's dating another dude, and Tyler comes back, and it's like, oh, well, I still love you.
I think it would be good.
I've just written it.
Yeah.
If you guys have any pull at Hallmark, just give them a heads up. Like,
we
hey,
wish we did.
Madison's an idea for another Hallmark.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll end up talking to one of the writers on the show, and we'll tell them what you said.
I think it's a great idea.
Hey,
obviously, Hallmark casting me as people named Tyler is a thing that they like to do. Because in Frozen in Love, my name was also Tyler, so that was exciting. Well, in my own mind, I kind of went, it's the same Tyler, but I don't think it was.
Well, we do believe in the Hallmark Cinematic Universe. So.
Right,
we are big fans of the Hallmark Cinematic Universe.
And hey, you never know who could be listening. It's
Oh,
possible.
exactly.
Who knows?
I'm ready. Hey guys, anybody listening out there, I'm ready to come back.
Okay, let's do it.
Here I am.
But not as a dead body.
Yeah.
No, please no. I will tie up my Converse shoes and head to the studio right now if you guys want to get me on the phone.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about One Calls the Heart.
Sounds good.
So, your character, Roy. So, this character, as I recall, it was a pretty dark character for One Calls the Heart, at least.
I totally agree. And that was actually one of the coolest parts about doing it is it did feel, it felt like any other show, and it felt like it had so much going for it. And it was fun to sink my teeth into because you got to feel empathy for a guy that was doing something that wasn't good, but you understood why he was doing it. And that was such a cool thing to go through because, you never want to go through these scenes and shows where you kind of go, oh, I don't get why this person's doing that. I don't understand them. So Roy was somebody that was really fun to play with because he wanted to do the right thing and he thought he was doing the right thing. And he didn't know he had a little boy when he left. He just knew that he didn't want to be who his father was, and that was a really cool scene to play with because I as an actor sometimes you have to obviously draw on your own life, and I can't relate to that at all. Like I always wanted to be who my dad is, which was something I actually took from was that I thought, what if my dad wasn't the person that he was? Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what got me to an emotional place because it just was like, if I wasn't lucky enough to have the father that I do, this could have been my life. And it was a really beautiful one. I got to work with Allie Milner, who was just I've known Allie for a while, and she is so fantastic, and I was so happy it got to be her that we got to have. And yeah, that was honestly one of my favorite roles I've got to do to date so far.
Yeah, it's a good one, and it was a pretty good meaty some meaty scenes for Daniel Lissing. I felt like some of his you two working together because he's trying to convince you to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two played very
so fun to work with.
Yeah.
So it was really, those were great scenes, great work.
Thank you.
Because sometimes Jack he was so like, I don't know, I felt like you didn't really get that like deeper side of him sometimes. And it was nice to see them really devote a lot of time to an arc with Jack and yourself and him,
mm-hmm.
So because he's kind of the hero of the show.
He was, and honestly, I thought that was such a cool journey for him to go through, where it was a different kind of heroic arc for him, where he didn't have to catch the bad guy or be the right man for Elizabeth. He was going and he was trying to do the right thing for somebody else, where it didn't benefit him at all. It was just him being a great guy and a great hero and a great protagonist for the show, and I thought it was an amazing arc for him, and he was so fun to work with, and so such a great actor to work with as well, and it was like I said, to this date, one of my favorite roles I got a chance to do.
Yeah. So you were in a movie last year called Four Christmases and a Wedding for Lifetime, with Ariel Kebbel, who's definitely a Hall star.
For sure.
So what was that like?
Four Christmases and a Wedding was really cool because I kind of got to do a first time like arc over the course of time, which was really cool. Character because he changed every year. Basically, for anybody who's listening that doesn't know the show that well, Four Christmases and a Wedding was about basically a party planning company that plans a Christmas festival every year. And in the first year, Ariel Kebbel's character meets a gentleman at the festival. He turns out to be leaving. May comes back the next year, but is dating somebody else. He comes back the year after. They're not together, but she's actually dating me. And then finally in the fourth year, timing works out perfect and they get together. Fifth year, they get married. Hence, Four Christmases and a Wedding. My character Ted worked with her at the party planning place and was really cool because in the first year he's so nerdy and really just he doesn't have a chance with a girl like that. And first asked her out with a snow globe to her house, does not take it well that she says no and just wants to be friends. But as these nerdy dads and like myself do, we just got to roll with the punches. Within the second year, you can tell he's gotten over it and is definitely better with the fact that he works with this girl that he's got a crush on and just has a ton more confidence, which leads into the third year where they're finally dating because I don't think anybody wants to be with that person that pines after them and chases them around like a little sheepdog. So when Ted finally gets a little bit more confidence, it makes sense that they're together, but they're not meant to be. That was the biggest part. Is Ted is a great guy, but he's not the right guy, which is also a tough thing to be because it never feels like it shouldn't work. So that was a fun one to do. I got to be like the character in the Notebook, the other
the James
the guy,
Marston character.
Yeah, and which is if you ask me, he plays one of the greatest characters in a romantic movie history because he does nothing wrong. He is the person you should root for, but you don't because of the other people's connection. And that's exactly what I was playing, is that person who, it's not that he's not a good guy. He's not the bad guy. There's no reason they shouldn't be together. It's just because the other two should. And, there's not much you can do. And I liked that because it was a fun one to play around with that, you're hurt, but you get it.
Yeah. Just for the record, though, I was Team Ted. Like
I was Team Ted too. Everybody else was like throwing Ted under the bus.
No,
I was Team Ted, except for like.
Movie, I was like, Ted's amazing. Oh my gosh, they're together. I was so happy. Year 4 came around, and I was so mad.
No, this is a true story. I think you even text messaged me when you were watching.
I was like, are you kidding me? And then also this movie had the smallest ice skating rink in the history of the world.
So tiny. And also, and because it came out a full year ago, I can talk about this now. The fact that the little girl didn't age in 5 years blew my mind.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so glad.
She was a fantastic little actress, and I loved being on set with her, but it made no sense that she, they didn't even write her older, give her more meaty stuff to say. She always had the same, I'm 7 and I'm going to talk like I'm 7 every year.
Yeah.
At the very last, she's like, look, it's snowing. And it's like, but you're 12 years old now. You're on your iPhone, tweeting. There's no way you maybe would have tweeted this to Santa Claus, not said it. So that was always the funnest part. And then, the skating rink was so funny because it was, as I'm sure most of the listeners know, most of these winter shows are filmed in not in winter. They're very much filmed in summer in Vancouver. So that's one of those plastic ice rinks that you can actually skate on, but they just had all of our extras wearing socks and pretending to skate.
Oh, funny.
And it makes it, you can tell if you know, but if you can't, if you don't know, you can kind of, suspend disbelief, except for one time where Ariel's skating, which is the greatest part because she's kind of got the Rock and the Tooth Fairy, where it's the bit of the swagger. And you're like, okay, I don't think anybody does that, but okay, that's good.
It works. That's fun.
Otherwise, it was a great movie. I loved those. It was a fantastic movie. I loved to be in it, and I actually loved watching it. So those are my fun little nitpicks at it.
But I legitimately was like, this movie should have been about Ted. Rachel knows I was so mad about it. But also, every single time they showed that teeny tiny skating rink, I just laughed to myself silly because it was, how big was it in real life? Because on the screen it looks like it was about 5 feet by 10 feet. I'm sure it was
bigger
a little
than that.
bigger.
It was bigger than that. It was probably about, I would say, 25 feet long and about 15 feet wide.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a little bigger, but man.
Yeah,
Really?
it was pretty
Sounds
tiny.
small. Yeah, it looked like one of the ones when they had one of those kind of plastic skating rinks on a cruise ship that I went on, and it kind of
really?
got that size, yeah, that they could put out. Yeah, it was really small. But anyway, so then this year you were in Frozen in Love, and we had Sandy Sadu on the podcast. And we all agree, and we talked to her about it, that we thought that you and her character had a little bit of a connection.
Had a bit of a connection. I agreed, and I kept on. Those are always the nice things you get to do when you're a side character. Is you can make your own backstory that never gets explored, but can maybe get picked up by people watching.
Yeah.
So we kind of like the idea that maybe Tyler had a bit of a crush on her character, and it was fun to play with because it was so cool to be on set with. We got to film in Revelstoke for a few days, so we had to hang out at the hotel up in a beautiful area. And yeah, I like to think that somewhere out there Tyler and her are maybe on their third date.
Well, I would like to see that. Like, I'm gonna call up Rachel Lee Cook if I ever find her number and be like, we should have a sequel, Frozen in Love 2, Tyler and Sandy Sadu. Like,
there was a whole bunch of cool things about that show too. That I was trying to get on the ice as much as I could because I played hockey as a kid, and I want to be in these ice rink parts. I want to be one of the coaches, and they were like, if you were on set that day, we were gonna have you, but they filmed it the first day in Revelstoke when I wasn't there yet, so it didn't work out, unfortunately. Oh, I would have loved to be on the ice.
So maybe you would be the perfect man for our hockey falls in love with a figure skater movie.
I
love it.
About. Yeah.
Like, I think those are fun.
I know it's the cutting edge, but not the cutting edge.
I get it, though. I mean, you can tell that story so many times, and it never gets old.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to learn how to figure skate, but like just that dynamic. It will be our tie-in to the Olympics.
I was talking to somebody about this the other day because I think I could learn to figure skate, not to do turns and everything, but I could learn to use those skates, but it would definitely be a learning curve. But it'd be kind of like going from riding, I don't know, a BMX bike to a road bike. It's different, but at the same time, you can get a feel for it probably pretty quick. So, but I luckily don't have to prove that to anybody at this point in my life. And until I do, I'm going to say that I could dominate. I would pick it up like that. And until I have to prove it, that's my stance.
I mean, it would be pretty great. We could have you and Andrea Brooks, because she was a skater growing up. So
perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, we've got it cast, we've got it planned. Where are we?
Honestly, I really hope that somebody from Hallmark is listening to this right now. And like, man, this Madison Smith, he can be in all these shows right now. This is great. Let's just put him on retainer. And I just, if anybody's listening, I will say yes.
Okay,
I will say yes.
Good. All right. So so you have I saw there's a new version of Sabrina coming out. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I was just curious about that. I hadn't seen that. What's that going to be all about?
So I can't say too much about, obviously, my character. I just can say that my name's Steve Loomis, and I show up in the 10th episode of the first season. And the show looks amazing. It's set in the same sort of universe as Riverdale. They don't have any plans, I think, at this point to do crossover stuff. Okay. But it's implied that they live kind of in the same universe. I remember actually when I auditioned, it was originally going to be set in 1967 or 68, and that was going to be a legit time. But as of now, they're kind of doing the same thing that Riverdale does, where it could seem like literally today, and it could also seem like sometime in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. It's just the styles are always weird, and the technology is always changing and weird. So it's quite a cool show, and it looks like it's going to be amazing. Kiernan is such a great talent, and the fact that she's going to be leading the show is awesome. And I can't wait to watch. And that was a cool thing getting, I got, after just finishing Salvation, I got a chance to be on set just a couple days for that, and it was a really cool show. It has great production value. It has an amazing cast, and it's gonna be chilling. Obviously, from the trailer, if you guys have seen it.
Where's that gonna be on?
That's gonna be on Netflix, so you'll be able to watch that on, I think, October 26th. So just in time for Halloween.
Cool, great.
Or if you're on Hallmark Channel, just in time for Christmas.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you are going to be in Falling for You coming up on Hallmark. And I'm really excited for this. I interviewed Tyler.
Yeah.
He was so fun. He's got to be the most chill guy I've ever talked to. I was like relaxed after the conversation. He was just
very
so
much
cool.
so, right? You just felt like you drank melatonin. And you're like,
yeah, in all the best kind of ways. It was really fun, and it was great. And it just seems like I love the idea of a Bachelor Bake Off. Are you one of the bachelors?
me and Matt Visser play two of the bachelors. We are brothers in this little universe, and we are brought in to be two of the bachelor bakers. And both of us don't like the other one as much as the other one doesn't like the other one. So that, not in real life, at least I think I might like Matt more than he likes me, I'm sure. Cause I think he's great, but the brothers do not at all like each other, which made for some amazingly fun scenes. And Taylor was always so fun to be there with, cause she would strike lightning in a bottle at once every scene that we had, but literally could not keep it together for the first 7 tries of our takes. Like she would turn, and like when we're doing blocking, she would just immediately start to burst out laughing just when we would just stand next to each other. And it was so fun because I've loved watching Taylor Cole for the longest time, and I told her this, like I had a crush on Taylor when I was like a younger and before I was an actor. So then meeting Taylor in real life was like such a cool experience. And I like to joke with her that it was terrible. I was like, oh, never meet your heroes because you're the worst. But it's a hard joke to make because she's obviously amazing. And yeah, it was really fun. I got to work with Peter DeLuise again. That was my 3rd time getting a chance to work with him. I worked with him on my first Garage Sale Mystery, my first 2 episodes on When Calls the Heart, and then this was my 3rd time with him. So yeah, you get a feel for him very much so, and it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be there's gonna be a lot of humor in this one, where just it's similar, I think, to Frozen in Love, where everybody can just kind of be like, everybody lives a pretty good life. Things are hard economically, but there's no problems in these people's lives. It's just like, hey, let's have a fun time at the movies for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Excellent. We're very excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited too.
Yeah, it just looks really funny and really charming, and I really liked Taylor's last movie, so that's making me kind of hyped about it. So yay. Well, that'll be great. So we like to end our interview doing what we call the Team Beat questions, which is kind of silly questions.
Perfect.
So Amber, take it away.
Can I give silly answers?
You can answer any way you want.
Awesome.
This is your interview, Madison.
Okay. I'm excited.
All right. The first question. Best ice cream flavor?
Oreo. Not cookies and cream. Cookies and cream is garbage and don't eat it. It's only Oreo. So
like Oreo in vanilla?
Oreo ice cream. Yes, exactly. Like Oreos in vanilla. But if it's cookies and cream, that doesn't count. It's just not the same.
Oreos in chocolate ice cream?
Oh, see, it just takes away from it. I went to Spaghetti Factory and I got like an Oreo cake, but it was chocolate with Oreos, and it just wasn't the same. Yeah. So it's vanilla and Oreos. Yeah, exactly. Like going to Dairy Queen and getting an Oreo Blizzard or a McFlurry with Oreo, like it's got to be Oreo. I know I seem very passionate about this, and I am.
No, it's important to be passionate.
Yes.
All right. Favorite color?
Blue.
Blue.
I don't know. I just said it, but
Oh, no, was it wrong?
I think that's right. I'm pretty sure I'm bang on with that. But there's so many great colors out there.
Yeah. I mean, if you do say it wrong, you get thrown off the bridge. So
that's the worst part, right? I mean, I might that's the thing. I think I believe it, and I think I've convinced myself, and I'm sticking with it. I'm not gonna waver. Blue. It's blue.
Okay, good. We're proud of
all
you.
right. And then the next question is, what music are you listening to right now?
Top 40. Always top 40.
Next question is, what is your go-to date night food?
Pizza.
Pizza.
Nice.
Called Panago Pizza, and I get the same thing every time. It's pizza from Panago called Tropical Hawaiian, which is Hawaiian with barbecue, like a spicy barbecue sauce and bacon on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Get cheesy cheddar dip and Italian garlic. I know, again, I seem very passionate about this, and again, I am.
I can't support you in your fruit on pizza.
I can fully support you.
I think it was invented in Canada for one, Hawaiian one. And, I'll take it to my grave. Forever. I don't know what it is. It's just like that little bit of sweetness with the salty. It's like, it goes so well together.
Yeah.
And I know, don't get me wrong, some people are just don't like that. But at the same time, I feel like we should just spread love in this world for their pizza choices and don't diminish them. I mean, that's my feeling. You cannot like it. That's great. I also don't like olives, but I'm not going to get mad at you for getting a Supreme pizza.
I will get mad at her for getting a Supreme, and I will demand pineapple.
There we go. Say it.
The next question is, what is your go-to date night activity?
I love the movies. Honestly, I go to the movies when I'm sad. I go to the movies when I'm happy. I love going into the movie theater, and I get nervous, obviously, for the movie industry right now because I want, obviously, blockbuster movies are still happening, but there's just something about going to a theater, turning your phone off for 2 hours, literally just being immersed in sort of a show that was made to be seen like that is just my favorite. And luckily have so many things we can do in Vancouver that we try and sort of double up. If we go to movies at night, try and go to an escape room here in Vancouver, which are just so much fun. We'll try and go bowling. There's a place in a town just next to us that has it's a kind of an arcade-ish sort of place with mini golf, arcade games, and the basketball game where you keep on shooting in the basket.
Oh, yeah.
We are the two most competitive people in the world for that. There will be lineups of 5-year-old children behind us that we won't let play because we need to go back and forth. She is somehow just as good as I am and beats me half the time. So then we go, okay, best of 11. Behind us, it's like, hey, can I play? Wait your turn. Actually do that, and we're good people.
It's fine if you make little kids wait their turn. They'll need to learn to wait.
Exactly. They literally say that. It's on bumper stickers and everything.
And congrats to you on just getting engaged at Disneyland. That's very exciting. So
thank you. I'm really excited. It's been my plan for about a year. And it was kind of funny because for the last year, my girlfriend, every time we would have a little bit of booze in our system, would emotionally ask, when are you ever gonna propose? I know when, but I can't tell you, so stop asking. And not out loud, so that was always the worst part. But it was great when it finally happened. A lot of people ask if I had a plan for what I was going to say, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it through. I'm an actor who could not talk through my tears. So
aww.
Great thing. I think my exact words were, and, and then she said, so at least we're similar. That was great.
Yeah, that's
excellent.
So cute. Good.
All right, and then the next question is, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right.
And funny enough, I like small dogs because they are super cuddly and amazing. Don't get me wrong, I love big dogs. My girlfriend has a Labrador. We used to have a Bouvier Golden Retriever when I was a kid, and I love big dogs, but my family now has 2 Maltese Havanese dogs.
Whoa.
Between the 2 of them, I think they are about 28 pounds.
Mm.
They sleep in the little like crevice between your legs. I'm pretty sure if the house was on fire around us and the dog was sleeping on your lap, you'd be like, I got time. Here's the thing. If the dog chooses you that day, you win. You win the day. Like, it doesn't matter what you're playing for. You just won because they chose you. You've done something right, and you don't want to change it, even if there's fire.
And then the next question is beaches or mountains?
I like on mountains because there's amazing hikes around here. And then also I love to snowboard. There's Whistler's, at 2 hours in my backyard. It is, to this day, probably the most fun activity that I can do. Took my fiance there in, I think, March for her birthday, and taught her. She got a bit of a feel for it, but you could just tell wants to get better. And it's my favorite thing. Everybody can do it. Everybody can enjoy it together. And being on the mountain, in your nice warm winter clothes, not getting soaking wet because you have good snow pants and stuff on. It's just it makes the day amazing. You're getting exercise, but you're also out in the wilderness, and it's my favorite thing to do. Snowboarding for sure. If anybody hasn't tried it, give it a shot.
Okay. And just saying, Utah does have the greatest snow on earth, so
Ooh,
come to Utah.
good point.
Yeah.
See?
Maybe I'll trip down there.
Do it. Hey, Hallmark occasionally films in Utah.
I think
Get on
they
one of
have a
those.
little bit more here, though. That's the thing.
I know, but
More.
they do.
Okay.
They at least film a couple movies in Utah each year.
True enough.
And then if you get one of those, boom, snowing. You can go snowboarding.
Exactly. On my lunch break, I'll go down the mountain and come back up and film the next day.
It could happen.
Perfect. It's a perfect plan.
All right. And then the next question is suit and tie or sweats?
Suit and tie.
Nice.
I like dressing up if I can. I just watched like Crazy Rich Asians, and I want to dress just like that dude all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I need to dress better like that. H&M luckily makes you look like you have a lot of money when you don't. So that's good. I just bought a new blue $19 shirt, and it looks good.
Nice.
Excellent. All right. And then the next question is, what is your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yes,
it's hard
I think
to beat Christmas.
it's really tough to beat Christmas. My family always spends Christmas together. We do every second year. We do somewhere abroad and then somewhere at home. So we this last year we're at home. I think this year we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. 2 years ago we did Hawaii. 2 years before that we did Vegas, and 2 years before that we did Disneyland. So it's always a nice thing. We sort of plan 2 years in ahead. And it's always been really cool because it means the next year when you have, a classic home Christmas, it makes it feel more special because it's not something you just feel like you do every year and you don't look forward to. It's something that you kind of go, I miss the boring Christmas. I miss going home and laying on the couch after breakfast and waking up before dinner, and then going to bed after dinner and waking up for breakfast. That was pretty much 4 days.
So just food and sleep is your tradition.
Right. Eggnog was my best friend. There was like a cup beside me at all times.
All right.
That sounds great.
And then the last question. It's the hardest question of all.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And you're from Canada, so you're going to have even a harder time. Don't worry about it. Favorite Hallmark movie?
Loved Frozen in Love. I loved watching it. It made me so happy. Yeah, I don't know. It was my first time getting a chance to meet Niall, and then seeing what he did on camera was just so fun. Rachel, I thought, had so much fun, was so funny in it. I think it's gonna be my number one. I do love watching the mystery ones though. I think the Aurora Teagarden ones are getting better and better. And I think the Garage Sale mystery ones are fantastic. Lori is so good. Lori's stupid good. So there's no lack of great movies on Hallmark, but I would actually have to say Frozen in Love is my number one. And I feel bad just picking one that's my that
No, it's fine. You actually like listed a movie you weren't in. You're already beating a lot of the other Canadian actors.
Well, this was so much fun. We had a great time talking with you, and thank you so much for taking the time. And where can people find you, like on social media or all that fun stuff?
Social media, my handle is at MadosSmith21, MADOSMITH 21. It was my hockey nickname as a kid. Everybody, when you play hockey, you either have a Y or an O at the end of your name, and I was the one of the lucky ones to have an O at the end of it. So that's been my, Twitter, Instagram for a long time. So MadosSmith21. You can look forward to me in Falling for You. Which, funny story, I remember thinking, you know what? These Hallmark movies always usually have something to do with the season. But, it's weird that it's called Falling for You. And she goes, it was Taylor Cole. She went, Madison, fall? And I was like, oh, fall. Because I thought it would say like something about autumn in my mind. I was like, autumn and love or something. And I was like, but Falling for You, that's just so plain. And like, and then I felt really awkward when I didn't get it. You can see me coming up and Falling for You. You can see me on October 26th if you binge watch all the way to the 10th episode of Sabrina. And Valley of the Boom comes out, I think, sometime late in the year, which is a retelling of sort of the building of Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And then, everything else is kind of auditions and looking for the next thing. So I hope to be on Hallmark again soon and other places people can watch it.
Well, keep us posted for sure.
Of course.
And that would be great. And Amber, where can people find you?
As always, I'm at Amber Brainwaves on Twitter, and that's it.
Yeah, great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube. And make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod on Instagram, Twitter. And please leave your reviews on iTunes. It really helps us out. And thanks again, Madison. This was so much fun. Let's do it.
I'm glad you had me. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
And I look forward to the Sandy and Madison sequel.
I do too.
Yes.
Remember, everybody listening, I'm available.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. We'll talk to you later.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.